We're going to explore Volskygge today. This is a Dragon Priest dungeon west of Solitude. The Solitude guards will usually give a warning to stay away from it because it's cursed, which lets us know there should be some pretty good loot. As we approach the exterior to the dungeon, we'll see a left path and a right path. The left goes to the entrance of the dungeon, so we're going to start with the right. It's a pretty short path that leads to a small round barrow. Inside the barrow is a door that's trapped. Opening it will release some fire. Just be patient and wait out the fire and it'll peter out eventually. Once inside, there will be some potions that can be grabbed, as well as some urns to be looted. Once this room's cleared, we're done with the right side. Heading back to the left, we'll move up some stairs towards the entrance. As we approach, some bandits are going to spot us, and we'll usually draw aggro pretty easily. As we move to fight them, we're just going to want to avoid a pressure plate and move up on the bandits. There will be 3 of them, 2 melee, 1 ranged. The ranged will sometimes be on the ruins above, so just look out for them when you're fighting. Moving back to the pressure plate to see what it's guarding, we find a pretty obvious log trap. Both the plate and the log can be avoided very easily. The small room within will open up a coffin, and a Draugr will fight it. He's just gonna run. Alright. We can loot the Draugr, and loot an already dead Draugr, and loot a couple urns. I really hope everyone likes urns, because that's what this dungeon's got. Moving forward, we'll check out the bandit camp. It's not too impressive, has some coins, a dagger, skeever tail, and a charred skeever. And with that, the exterior of the dungeon is basically all explored. Let's head inside. Once inside, we'll find a lot of nothing. The first room doesn't have any enemies, doesn't have any loot. The only thing of note is a throne with a pressure plate in front of it. The plate activates a dart trap, and there's some blood splatters. It's a neat little flavor room for the dungeon, but not very much else to it. As we progress through a hallway, we're going to find 2 bandits. Sometimes the bandits are near the front of the hallway like this, and sometimes they're farther ahead. If they're farther ahead, there's a pressure plate with a spike wall trap that can be used to help kill them. There's plenty of room to the right of the trap. You can climb to the left. This should be easily avoidable. There will be a bandit down some stairs that'll be aware of us but won't really aggro to us often until we approach. Once we take care of him, we'll see that he's guarding a locked chest. Moving forward down the corridor, we'll come to a split path. There's the left, and there's the right, which progresses further. So we're going to check out the left first. You'll find 2 bandits stalking in front of a locked cage. Once you take care of them, you can check out the cage. It has a lever inside, and there's no key for this, so we're going to need to pick it. A nearby health potion also has a nearby skill book for lockpicking that can help us out. Once the cage is open, go ahead and throw the lever inside. This will drop a false wall nearby, which leads to a bit more loot. We find some magica potions and a chest, and we're ready to head to the right path. Before entering a large room, keep an eye out for the right side of this path, as there will be a shelf with some health potions. As we enter the room, we're going to head to a corridor on the left. There will be 2 bandits in here, with one usually patrolling the 3 rooms and one in the center room, who will aggro to you when they hear a fight. With them taken care of, let's explore. We've got cups, pots, jugs, urns, a bunch of 3-letter words in these rooms. Besides the urns, there's nothing much of value in the first room, and we have 2 minor healing potions in the second. Let's find what treasure's found in this third room, and there's nothing. Heading back to the main chamber, there's 2 Draugr bodies we can loot, and a lot more junk. There's a lot of junk in this dungeon. There are some potions on a nearby shelf, and that's it for this room. Moving forward, when you open the doors, be careful of a well-hidden pressure plate. The bandit body is a pretty good indicator that something's wrong, and you can see it activates a log trap. You can easily avoid this log trap by jumping over or just sidestepping. More urns! We come up to the 4 pillars of Volskygge, with a bear, a fox, a snake, and a wolf puzzle. I'm going to try the time-old method of just mashing a handle till it works. The handles need to be pulled in the correct order, and pulling them in the wrong order will activate a coffin in the center, releasing 3 Draugr. You can get that wrong intentionally if you want some loot, and we can see that the 4th Draugr wasn't properly preserved, and we can take his gear. There will be a book on a pillar that you can check out, giving you a hint to the puzzle. The correct order is snake, bear, fox, wolf. Each handle will have the animal in front of it, and it will be labeled properly. We can see in the pillar in the middle that fires will start to appear above them. As you pull each handle in the correct order, another fire will be lit, letting you know you're on the right track. Upon pulling the 4th handle, a central brazier will light up, and the gate ahead will open. Past this gate, we'll find a stairwell and a very obvious chest. There will be a skeleton in front of a suspicious wall. A lever to the left will drop the fake wall. At the bottom of this little path, there will be a very obvious pressure plate, which activates some darts. This can be jumped over easily, where we'll find a couple potions, and an urn. With all the looting done, we're going to head down the stairwell into the Volskygge passages, the next section of the dungeon. This first hallway will drop us into a room that has a lot of linen wraps and a couple urns we can loot. Once again, there's just a lot of junk in this dungeon. We do have a random soul gem, and an extremely important lever, the most important one in all of Skyrim. Jesus Christ, it just opens up into this little alcove. Cozy, I guess. When we're ready to move on, we'll find a Draugr over an altar in the next room. To the right side of the room is a trapped chest. It'll activate a poison dart trap, and it actually fires pretty far back, so standing to the left side of the chest is usually a pretty safe play. In addition to this, we'll find a couple more urns, some soul gems, and a skeever tail on the altar. When we're ready to move forward, head to the left side of the room and throw the lever to the next pair of rooms. The first has some more urns, and a pressure plate that activates a swinging axe in a doorway. The second room will have a giant trapdoor. If you fall down, don't worry, you can loop back eventually to this, and you can close this door, and it won't open again unless you manually force it open. Inside this room we'll find more urns and a bandit body next to a lever. The lever drops a false wall, and leads to another lever, which activates a little airlock, bringing the wall back up behind you, and opening a loot room. More urns, as well as a locked chest, and a very obviously trapped potion. The spikes from the trap are extraordinarily slow, so you can just grab the potion and jump back, or just stand to the side. It's very easy to avoid. When ready to move on, head back to the airlock and throw the lever. As we move on, we'll want to check to see for dead Draugr that we can loot, as well as urns, until we come to a rather large room with several waking Draugr and urns. There's going to be a couple points in this dungeon where it's really just loot dead Draugr, loot waking Draugr, loot urns. We can find a little left path here that leads down to where the trapdoor falls to. A Draugr will be guarding it, which you'll have to deal with if you drop down. And we can find a bandit body to loot inside of this trapdoor area. Just be mindful of the spikes and any Skyrim jank with the bones jumping around. If you do fall, you're not able to make the jump up to a wooden platform or get back up out of the trap, but you can just loop back around to get any loot you missed before. You'll just come out, clear this room, and head back to the right to get the little airlock treasure chest. When ready to move on, head by the trapped spike wall. There will be an obvious locked chest and an obvious urn. Once again, it's just a lot of walking forward, seeing very obvious urns, checking any dead Draugr that can be looted, and taking care of any waking ones that try to pop up behind us. Once again, a rather large room has waking Draugr, urns, dead Draugr that can be looted. This dungeon can get kind of repetitive sometimes. Wake up, buddy, you're missing the point. When done with this room, head up the large stairs. There will be, you guessed it, another split path. The left is progression, and forward will go to a little room. There will be a Draugr inside we have to take care of, and once we do, we get to loot those juicy urns, and check out an altar in the room that has some potions on it. Another sleeper. When ready to progress, head up the tight staircase. There will be a pressure plate in here, so just be mindful of it. There will also be a Draugr at the top of the staircase. The plate activates a log trap, which can be pretty helpful for taking out the Draugr. Anyone with arachnophobia, go ahead and skip the next few minutes. The dungeon will eventually turn into a little cave, and it's just spiders. Just spiders. This is a very linear section of the dungeon, and besides the spiders, there will be a couple egg sacs, some desiccated corpses and wrapped skeevers, and no other notable loot, nothing else. There's basically two areas in this dungeon at a time. It'll either be a relatively straight shot with spiders or Draugrs that you loot their bodies and get a little bit of extra loot from urns or egg sacs, or you'll come up to some split paths where the incorrect path is very, very short and has just a little bit of loot in it. You'll know you're at the end of the spider section when you fight in the room where 3 drop down on you. And back to our regularly scheduled dungeon. Immediately out of the spider section, we find more urns. There's also a trap chest that activates a log trap behind you. Just step to the side when you open it, and you'll be good. The next room is rather large, and has 3 Draugr in it. Sometimes the third one won't aggro, and you might have to run up the stairs to it. Once you've cleaned them up, you can loot their bodies, loot the urns, and check out this little moving creek here. The moving creek will lead to a pickaxe, some more calcamore, and a chest that we can loot. When ready to move forward, head up the stairs. The next room just has a couple urns in it, and a pretty small staircase. You're going to want to move quickly up this, because the Draugr Death Overlord will start to stand up as you move up the stairs. If you run up quick enough, you can get some free hits on him as he's getting out of his chair. This will always be a Death Overlord, even at lower levels, so just be mindful of that, although he'll always have an ebony weapon, which is a pretty nice prize at a low level. On a shelf nearby, there will be an ancient Nord bow, some arrows, and some loose coins. This room will also have the boss chest, a trio of potions, and God, I love those urns. When ready, we're going to move up to the Volskygge Peak. A statue just outside the door will have emeralds in its eyes, or emeralds knocked down next to it, or no emeralds. It's supposed to have emeralds in its eyes, but Skyrim jank usually knocks them loose just by existing, and they can fall down the mountain, so whatever. Up one last set of stairs, we find a word wall. As we learn the word for Whirlwind Sprint, Volsung will jump out of his crypt and try to fight us. Once defeated, we can loot his ash pile or his body, and grab his titular mask. The dungeon's now complete. We can either just run down the mountain or fast travel out of here. But Volskygge is now cleared.